Hello there, one and all, and welcome to episode 356 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for tuning in, whether you are watching live or you're watching the recording. We have several comments in the chat room already, but the first one goes to Jonathan, who says, howdy, hi, Persolaise, and all. Hello to you as well, Jonathan. People writing in, Cyrus saying, what a lovely impromptu for lunch break. Hello, Mr. P, and all from Montreal. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yes, a little bit impromptu, but that won't mean anything for those of you watching the recording. But for those of you watching live, the kind of rough plan, hopefully everything will go according to plan, is that we're going to do 3 single perfume review videos back to back, starting with this one. And I think we need to get straight into it. So this is brand new from Diptyque. I think it officially came out perhaps a week ago, 10 days ago, something like that. And this is a new EDT. I think it's interesting that they've released it as an eau de toilette. And it's called, as you can see there, L'Eau Papier. And actually, I have already spoken about it on this channel because a few days ago, was it just over a week ago, I did a sort of joint collaboration video with Max 40. And I talked about this very briefly, but I said that I think it needs a review of its own. So that is what we're going to start with. And the other 2 that are on the way, if you want to stick around, I think some of you might be interested in as well. Please feel free to leave a comment, ask a question, regardless of whether you're watching the live or the recording. And if you would like to find out how you can support my work, you should be able to see a link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below. And please, 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 if you like the video, I need to get used to saying this and do it a little bit less embarrassedly or self-consciously. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and a like. Tons of comments coming through. Maudlin says, I'm such a bibliophile and hope each time there's a scent inspired by books that I will like it, but so far none has, or you haven't liked any of them. Florence, interestingly, says, it smells like paper and ink for Chinese calligraphy. Okay, I'm taken with this, I have to say, and I think, and you know, regular viewers will already know that I've taken with this because I said as much on the other video, but not because I think it is a perfect representation of paper. We have had a few attempts to recreate the smell of books, the smell of paper in the past. The 2 that came to mind, and I had to look them up to see when they were released because I couldn't remember when they were released. Gavin says, I think you've worn that jumper before. Yes, I absolutely have. I don't have that many clothes that I can only wear them once per week. Is that okay? Am I forgiven for making a repeat wardrobe choice? I think it's me just desperately hoping for some sun. Is that allowed? So in 2012, we had a perfume called Paper Passion, which was composed by Geza Schön, he of, you know, Eccentric Molecules. And I think that was a collaboration with Karl Lagerfeld that was done for Wallpaper magazine. And I remember smelling it and thinking, I don't really get how this smells of paper. And then in 2017, we had Bibliothèque from Byredo, which I don't have a very, very strong memory of. But again, I remember thinking, okay, if this is paper, I'm not getting it. The smell of paper is I would guess, quite hard to capture because it's one of those sort of absent smells, one of those non-smells. But not only is it difficult to capture, but it's even more difficult to capture in a form that a perfume brand would then be happy and willing to pour into a bottle for people to wear on you know, upon their person, on their skin. So a bit of a tough challenge to crack. And I think maybe the reason why I like this one, and I've worn it a few times already since I got the sample, the reason I think why I like it is because the perfumer, Fabrice Pellegrin, you know, legendary perfumer, hasn't actually tried to do an all-out impersonation of paper, but has sort of tried to capture the essence of it and thought, okay, well, I'd imagined that he's thought, let's just give people a suggestion of paper, but then let's also give them something that is an interesting, subtle, delicate scent in its own right, which is probably the best way to approach such a project. We have a Diptyque press release to go with it, a characteristically beautiful, and I mean visual in terms of the graphics, beautiful Diptyque press release. Oh, one thing as well that I should say before I spray, this idea of doing the smell of paper has invariably meant using a lot of ISOE super. ISOE super is a super ubiquitous synthetic used in tons and tons of perfumes. And it smells like a very light, sheer, clean, quite white cedar. And I guess that's the quality that's been employed by perfumers in the past, because maybe they think that that's the closest we've got to paper. Aperol Spritz says, Byredo's Bibliothèque smells nothing remotely like paper. So there you go. Anyway, this is L'Eau Papier, which I'm really taken with. I think Diptyque actually are at their strongest when they try to do subtle and gentle. I know that their more Middle Eastern inflected type scents have been very successful for them, and by no means do I dislike them all, but I also don't especially love them. I think when they try to be more Occidental and maybe, well, yes, just quieter and subtler, I think they work. Anyway, this is L'Eau Papier. Yeah, and do you remember a while back I reviewed Leafy from Ulrich Lang, which has a very similar sheer skin-friendly, skin-hugging quality. This is that kind of scent. It's, in terms of its imagery, it's very white. There's a kind of gently roasted sesame seed note in there, definitely a kind of steamed rice feel. And then the cedary materials, probably ISOE super, something very gently vanillic in the base. And we talked in another video about the link between paper and vanillin and vanilla, the link being lignin. Gavin says, when I hear of paper perfumes, I just think of the tedium of operating a photocopier. I have no idea why people romance paper. So, well, maybe it's not so much paper, but books, right? But photocopier toner, that would be an interesting kind of, that's something for Comme des Garçons. And I love the kind of zen quality that this has. It's not the kind of perfume that I might personally reach for to wear, because, you know, like when I want to wear something that I just want to wear for myself, I would tend to maybe reach for an incense or a leather, as you will know. But there are times when I think, actually, no, I want to go very quiet, very restrained, very subtle. And interestingly, I was having a conversation with somebody just the other day about this very thing, and we were talking about Serge Lutin's L'Orpheline, which also does this very clean, quiet thing. And this is where this new Diptyque succeeds, because it manages to tick all of those boxes and yet also come across as quite complex. You know, you keep wanting to smell this, you keep wanting to find out what's going on here. It's like you're going through a haze of paper. There is something quite gauze-like and hazy about it. You know, what are those sort of different qualities that, like tracing paper? There is something of tracing paper about it, I think. Is it soapy, says Musk in Heaven? No, it's more gently, sweetly vanillic than soapy. But let's look at the press release, because there is a fair amount to read in the press release, and we may not read every single word, but I think it might be interesting to share it. So it says here, it starts with a blank page, giving voice to ink and to ideas, letting the imagination and the senses chart their course across the paper as your dreams and the world itself gradually emerge. This is how things have always begun for artists the whole world over. Maybe we'll skip these bits. It is a unique feature of the Maison that fragrances are discovered, first of all, through the eyes and through graphic expression, which has always played an active role in the narrative and construction of our perfumes. Is it a unique feature of Diptyque? No, for everybody, I think the very first thing they experience about the perfume is the bottle and the packaging, right? So Okay, well, anyway, let's moving on. A white sheet and a black brush stroke instigating a creative gesture that unites the nose and the hand. Sense of sight, sense of smell, a flair for imagery, all bound together in a unique process of olfactory creation, a truly synesthetic experience. Okay, fine, let's move on. Across the top of these pages, by the way, they've got these phrases. So the first one is white musks. There are a lot of musks here. Then it says rice steam accord, and then it says mimosa. Actually, yes, good point. There is a soft mimosa-ish feel. Maybe that's why I like it so much. And then blonde woods accord, it says. But let's carry on. And this, needless to say, is also the origin of L'Eau Papier, the new perfume Diptyque has developed along with perfumer Fabrice Pellegrin and artist Alix Walline, or Waline. By virtue of its history, its nature, and its name, L'Eau Papier is a tribute to creation, the backbone of the maison, and to paper, the primary means by which that creation is expressed. Paper triggers the imagination, the sine qua non for the emergence of both drawings and perfumes, and these in turn liberate the imagination of each individual with the stories they prompt and the memories they evoke. The name of this new creation brings together water and paper. Actually, yes, good point. Recalling both the history of the maison and the founding trio's driving passion for the line and the brushstroke. I want to get to the bits where they talk about the perfume, so there's no more about the perfume on this page. Please tell me we get... Okay, so this is a little bit about the perfume. Echoing the pointillist seam that captivated Knox, Leet, and Queslon and helped shape the identity and style of Diptyque illustrations, the drawing realized by Walline for the back of the label reflects her vision of the fragrance and its salient characteristics. You will know that there's always a back of the label graphic. Actually, you can see it quite well there. I think that does kind of capture the scent quite well. An ink wash indicates the gentleness and material properties of the paper grain and of white musks. A host of tightly packed strokes signifies the rice steam accord, its delicacy resembling that of rice paper, a time-honored medium for drawing. A series of fine furrows for the woody accord, wood being both a symbol of longevity and the primary material for paper. Small diluted dabs of ink evoke the vibrant mimosa note, added for extra sweetness. And I think that kind of works. I'll just do two more paragraphs. Ryan says, that description gave me memories of using watercolors as a child. Yes, there is something nostalgic about it. Finally, the olfactory composition is the product of the vision and imagination of perfumer Fabrice Pellegrin. Quote, creating a perfume for Diptyque is like writing a book. You have to have a story, an introduction, a structure, the primary materials that echo each other to form a narrative. For L'Eau Papier, I started with one initial ingredient, grain, in particular sesame, in the form of an extract of roasted sesame seeds. This is the surprise element in the fragrance. I chose it to evoke the novel scent of ink and to add a delicate flavor to the scent. I enhanced this by working in musky notes to heighten the sensual aspect. Then I added floral mimosa notes with, can I just say how wonderful it is to read something quite prosaic and direct about a perfume. Where are we? Then I added floral mimosa notes with gentle powdery properties to supplement the gentle note of paper. The uniqueness of the cereal and ink accords blended with the sweetness of white musks creates the scent of paper. And this combination is what defines the fragrance. I've tried to convey the subtle, sensitive interaction when ink is applied to a sheet of paper through an overdose of musks. And that is the press release, which gets the thumbs up from me, because at least it is very, very clear about what it is trying to convey, and it works. I hadn't thought about the mimosa in here, but yes, you can smell it when you're told that it might be in there, and it lasts really well, and never ever loses this sense of delicacy. So definite thumbs up from me. What are people saying about it so far? Ooh, retracted comments. Retracted comments are always interesting. Gavin says it sounds like a desensualized version of the Pillow Book film by Peter Greenaway. That was the one with Ewan McGregor, wasn't it? God, I haven't seen that for ages. When they sort of doing calligraphy all over each other's bodies. Who else? Mimosa, is it powdery, says Rachel. gently powdery, gently powdery. I don't feel this is aimed at the TikTok generation, says Gavin. No, probably not. And Rich, thank you very much, says, do you get the rice? It's all I get for a while. I do, but not just the rice. I mean, absolutely, you get a kind of very, again, like a steamed floral rice accord, but no, I get more than that. I get a fair amount of the sweetness. And Paul says, I'm wearing a sample of this now. It's great. How would you compare this with Acro ink, says S. Umar. Oh, gosh, no. Ink is metallic and silvery and vetiver. No. Very, very different sense. Completely different sense. So there will be a blotter update, as per usual, for these sorts of reviews. But thank you very much for watching this one, and we will be back in a few moments, for those of you watching live, with a kind of flanker to a scent that was a very, very big hit when it came out a few years ago. But for now, thank you very much for watching. See you in a few minutes. Bye.